Well, my name is Isabel Driese. I'm one of the designers who worked on this What If Lab, and I'm going to give you a brief introduction, mainly a bit of a peek behind the scenes of the process behind and how we work together before my Indonesian colleagues will show you the actual exhibition on site. So, so this What If Lab is, the topic is about sustainable public spaces, and our main research question was actually what if we co-created sustainable public space in Indonesia? And with that question already came a lot of other questions, like how do you actually create public space in Jakarta where there's really a lack of space, it's a very dense city, how do we do it in a sustainable way, of course, but also to co-create it with the people who live there, and in this case, the residents of Kampung Kollektief, which I will talk about a bit more later. These are our main partners, of course, who made this project possible. So thanks a lot for that. And then these are the 5 designers that were selected to work on the project. And besides being a mix of Dutch and Indonesian designers, we're also a mix of product designers and architects. So we have experience altogether from very small scale to larger urban scale, which was very nice combination to work in. And of course, also the different backgrounds of all the designers gave a lot of new insights and surprising thoughts. So it was very pleasant to work together. But of course, our most important collaborating partner was the community of Kampung Kollektief in Jakarta. We worked together with them in this project, and also the place where they live became the place where we wanted to test our ideas for sustainable public space. And maybe for the people in the Netherlands who are not familiar with what is a kampung, I'm just giving you a small peek into the exhibition already. This is a model that we are showing to kind of represent the feeling of a kampung, which is literally like an urban village and kind of informal settlements, self-built houses and towns all around Jakarta, where people live in close, self-sustaining communities. And the Kampung Kollektief is one of those communities. Unfortunately, their houses were demolished in 2015 to make place for the river. They wanted to widen the canal and also make a large road next to it to do inspection of the canal. And this road that you see in the picture is actually where their houses used to be. So one day to the other, they had to leave their homes, which is a very sad moment. Here you see the river or the canal that they are living next, but also on the back you see a white building, which is their new residence, their houses that were also designed in co-creation with the architect Kamil Muhammad. So they are still living in the same site, but slightly different location, and 33 families of the community actually moved back into the building, which is now called the vertical kampung at Kampung Susun Kunir. And here you see it up close, where you still see some remains in the front of their temporary houses and the building in the back, and the road right next to it, which is hardly ever used, mainly as parking or just a passage for local residents. And during our residency in Jakarta, we had the opportunity to spend quite some time with the residents, which was really nice. We tried to get to know them and to see how do they live together, how does their day-to-day life look like, and how can we, through design, find solutions to create more public space in and around the building. And this is one of the collage drawing that we made during our time there, where we try to map all the activities that we saw and that they told us about that take place in and around the building. And we came to a conclusion that public space actually means something different for everyone. So roughly taken, the children see public space mainly as a play space, so a place to meet their friends, to play, and they can play in a lot of different ways, and they're really creative about that. For the women, public space is mainly a shared space, a meeting space where they make plans for the community. Maybe they gossip, think about what to cook or where to go with their children. The water park was one place where they really love to go. And for the men, public space is mainly economic space. So they see public space as a way to earn money and to make an income, generate income for their families by selling food or services or other small businesses. And this is one of the first sketches that we made, where we were just thinking, what if we try to implement all the things in the space that's already available there or in and around the building? So a water slide is what the kids really wanted, but also things on top of the building, bamboo plantation to grow material, water filtration to clean the river, all kind of ideas. Then I'll go back and show you a little bit of the program and the activity and how it was structured. So since the long distance, of course, we spend a lot of time in online meetings, masterclasses, sharing ideas and collecting information and get to know each other. And these pictures are from the period that Pim and I traveled to Jakarta. So we were meeting the team, of course, the resident of Kampung Kollektief. We visited Erasmus Huis and some material suppliers and labs. After that, we switched back to working online a lot. And of course, the Indonesian designers had also the opportunity to spend more time in Kampung Kollektief to get to know the residents better. And there was also in October a period that the Indonesian designers visited the Netherlands. So we could continue to work together really in person to sketch, also to meet several experts who are working on the same topic, and to also to see the difference between how we see public space and design public space in the Netherlands compared to Indonesia. So we can really learn from each other and exchange. After that period, the Indonesian designer went back to Jakarta, and they organized a series of co-designing workshops, so we can really start designing together with the community of Kampung Kollektief. And the first workshop, it was all about mapping the network and gathering the memories of places from the residents. So then you can see that Kampung Kollektief is not just one place, but it's actually a broad network. And we try to connect the memories and the important places to actually spaces in the city. And in the second workshop, it was a little bit more zoomed in to the building and the near surrounding to see what are the potential spaces where what we can use and what kind of interventions or activities could be placed there. So we created a series of different kind of elements that could be possibly implemented, and we asked the residents to play around with it and to see what they wish, how they could reimagine the space around them and along the river. And that lead also to the last workshop. Here you see the rujak salad. So one of the stories that the residents told us is what they really missed from their old kampung were the fruit trees that they used to make their salad, that they shared together. And the trees were all cut when the river was renovated or rebuilt, and they lost all the trees. So they had.
Sorry, Isabel, something went wrong.
Oh, yeah. Do you hear me now? I saw that I was muted.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Marlene. So the rujak salad was an important thing also that they shared in the community. And we thought, can we bring it back somehow? We cannot really open the road and plant the trees at this moment. So we thought maybe we can create some temporary elements or movable elements that they can reclaim the space where their houses were once standing and their trees, and move the trees around to create a different perception of the space. So we built together with them some large planters that could hold each of the trees that can grow the fruits for the salad. And for that we used recycled bottle caps as a plastic material that was strong enough, recycled plastic, to make these planters. And we developed a series of planters that all represent one of the fruits from the salad, as well combined with some other functions, like the planter can also be a table, can be a play element, small shelves for books or water filtration. And by placing these ones on the road, the space that is now actually quite a lot of, or broad but not really used, you can start seeing space in a different way. And that leads me to three final sketches where we're thinking that the project can continue on a longer term. So on the short term, we made these elements and we would like to make more to create temporary public space where now maybe it's not possible to change the function of the waterfront or the road, but we can do that by these small movable elements. To start seeing the space in a different way than just a functional space for water drainage or roads to pass by, cars to pass by, sorry. And eventually that could lead to permanent public spaces where we claim back the space in the city and along the river for the use of humans, of nature, and even hopefully improve the water quality of the river. And our future vision for the long term is that these canals, these rivers can actually turn into linear public spaces throughout all the city, because this is not the only place in Jakarta where this situation exists. And the river that was once a very natural element and even maybe the origin of the city can return to its natural state and be a recreational space for the people in Jakarta. And that's a short introduction about the project. And I want to thank, of course, our main collaborating partners. Before I give the word to my Indonesian colleagues who are in the exhibition space to give you a tour around. So I hope you enjoy. And if there are any questions after the virtual tour, there's a space to discuss more about the project. So Iqra and Dinda, I give the word to you, and looking forward to see this space. Thank you.
Hello, Isabel. Thank you for the explanation. And now it's the time for us to
show you around.
In the exhibition place where we display everything. Also the thing that Isabel already explained. The floor is yours, Dinda.
Yeah, I'll be in front of the camera and Mas Iqra will be the videographer.
Yeah.
So the way we designed the exhibition was to have it feel like the atmosphere of a kampung. So when you visit a house in Indonesia, you typically take off your shoes. And the floor has tarpaulin on it, so visitors don't have to worry. We designed it to mimic the way that we've been able to connect with Kampung Susun Kunir. And in Kampung Susun Kunir, whenever you visit, they'll always have this blue tarpaulin on the floor. And see the drawings and the pictures, we've had quite a journey with them, and they've been involved with this project from the very beginning. Even before we came into the kampung, they've been very well adapted to researchers coming there. So as we were tasked with the difficult question of making public space within Jakarta, as it encompasses a lot of different fields, a lot of different factors, we tried to structure it with the river, the Ciliwung River in mind. So with whatever community develops, it always starts with a river, with how they gather food, they do trade, they build communities. And with communities, they turn into cities. So with the city of Batavia, a lot of different decisions influenced the way that the community grew. And with the canals and the Batavia Wall, it influenced the way that local Jakarta residents were able to live, and they had to go out of the wall and create kampung settlements, which if you visit Kota Tua in Indonesia, there's a little description about Jakarta that says all of Jakarta is one big kampung. And what we mean by kampung would be the many activities in which tight-knit communities live. So they typically have houses that they build on their own. They typically have a strong community relationship with one another and have different activities that they do for work and for their daily lives. So for the city of Jakarta itself, it's become quite a unique mix of what regular and irregular activities or formal and informal activities grow. And each one another support each element. Like if you even walk out of the exhibition space in Kuningan, or maybe even a mall or an office building in Jakarta, you'd only take a little while, maybe 10 minutes, to just find a kampung, a warung, or maybe other informal elements of the city that as locals we might take for granted, but it's what's making Jakarta its wonderful self. So when we are done talking about the state of kampungs, we want to talk about Kampung Kunir, where we did our case study. It's located quite near Kota Tua, which is a popular tourist place for historical tourism. It was the old center of the city of Batavia, and the Kampung Kunir itself grew from 1970, and it's quite well known for itself for green nature and its abundant, vibrant community, which you can see in the certificate up there. They actually won the Jakarta Green and Clean Award in 2010. And there's a little video if you want to. Maybe it's not too clear in the Zoom room, but it's the way that the kampung used to be in 2015. But later on, as the kampung grew, they weren't able to sustain the kampung, because in 2015, they were evicted by the government, who, as Isabel mentioned, wanted to build an inspection road to maintain the river and to have maintenance vehicles be able to pass. So if you see the picture number 3, it shows 2 of the village elders, the kampung elders, who grew up in the kampung and came to build the kampung, but their homes that were once here in the road is at 2018 gone. And what makes this kampung unique was that among the 77 families, 33 didn't want to move into a public housing scheme that's already available in Jakarta. They saw it as something that went against their values, that would set the kampung apart, and would have their children move out, or maybe have them have to find other means of work. So they stayed in the kampung and built informal settlements. And they also began working with different government agencies, with different volunteers, like with JNMK, UPC, Kapur, ISF, and Gerakan Sejajar, with each of them filling in different aspects, like with architecture, with psychological help, or with advocacy. They were able to propose an alternative to public housing that honors the value that kampungs have. And they did. They made a kampung susun, which is a vertical kampung that you already had the chance to show you. So when we came as designers to the vertical kampung, they were very welcoming, since they already knew the great work that the different researchers have done in the kampung for quite a long time. So we have these books that show different research that's been done with the kampung, with researchers from all over the world, I guess. Some are from Australia, some had their research in the Netherlands, and some are from our local self in Indonesia with Kampung Project Mutatuli. So when we came, we were given the task of creating public space with them. And we got to know like what a public space would mean in a kampung. And we had the chance to give them the floor to start thinking about what kind of kampung life would they want their children to have? What kind of kampung life are they willing to dream about? So with this drawing we made, we had to give them the freedom to suggest whatever they want in an ideal situation. So a lot of the kids suggested really wild things, like a roller coaster on the river. They wanted air balloon rides. So it was quite fun to have them have that freedom and begin to be asked this question, because kampungs are typically the ones asked this whenever the government develops an area. So as we got to know them even further, we were able to take them on different design workshops, which we wanted to know how we can learn from them and how we can envision a future with them. So this is the map that Isabel mentioned that we did. We mapped different activities with that, or different places that mean something to them. So with the post-its, it's different places in the past that they've held dear, like a local ice cream shop, or a cherry tree that they like to pick, or a different place for them to date when they were young. And they also gave us information about, oh, where did they go day to day now? What changes have become after the Kampung Susun was rebuilt? And we were able to show this and show that a kampung isn't a single spot in a geographical place. It spreads to the Jakarta, and its influence covers a lot of land. So we knew that now that we needed a bigger map. We didn't have enough space to show everything that the kampung connects with. So we also started thinking, what would be a realistic thing to create with the kampung? As we went on, as a group of 5 designers, we were given the task of creating public space, but the question was that we weren't given space. We were given a dilemma that was quite common in Jakarta, where you need public space, but you don't necessarily have the space to make one. So what we did was we thought a long time, we worked with the community, and we started thinking like, oh, what if the definition of public space itself needs to be broadened? What if the typical definition that's known as maybe a park or a mall could be run for the context of kampung, context of Jakarta? And with that, we thought like, oh, maybe we can extend it to say kaki lima, or a street cart vendor is also public space. Or what if we can say that a vegetable seller creates public space wherever they go? So that's why we started being attracted to creating maybe temporary solutions or temporary public space, which, as Isabel mentioned, we can maybe transition to a more permanent design. And when we suggested like different ideas, like you can see here, we had these different ideas ready for the kampung residents to give their comments and to have their input from. So there were ideas that we could do something in the water, something in between the water and the road, or something in the road itself. And those ideas became a physical activity with the kampung, as we gave them the opportunity to move little 3D printed elements. So in the exhibition space, we had the different ideas arranged the way that the kampung wanted. And it shows what they prioritize for their community. It also gave them a chance to talk about what they want, or how their relationship with their surroundings become, like how their rivalry with the neighboring kampung kept going after their eviction, and how they want a future that's bright for their children. So we can get into the design they actually made. And it learned from the way that kampungs use space. So typically when you think of housing or a neighborhood, there would be certain rules that would dictate what can or cannot happen on the road. But in a kampung, they're way more flexible. So if you see in picture 3, it is a clinic. So whenever they need a clinic on the road, they could just take chairs from their homes, bring it outside, set up a table, and the nurse will come, and it's a clinic. or whenever they need a party, they could just set up a tent. So it's way more flexible, and we thought of maybe creating a design that could support that and create more temporary public spaces within the area. So we have this design, Rujak Plaza. And so we have this all set up in the exhibition space. And it all has different functions and different plants in it, which we couldn't produce ourselves, obviously. We collaborated with a material producer called Mortier in Jakarta, which recycles these plastic materials from landfills and create the plastic sheets, which right now we are working with the community to start collecting their own plastic sheets to say, oh, maybe a community's waste could become their public space. And with the plants chosen, we had a plant expert in collaboration. So Kebun Kemara helped us pick out the plants and helped us take care of the plants within the exhibition space to keep them alive for 2.5 months, which we were surprised to say worked. So our design, if you see here, these planters are not just like static planters that stand in a single place within the kampung. They're movable, so the kampungs can exercise their flexibility with the space. And whenever they need to have, let's say, a party, they could bring it out. Or whenever they need it to be inside, they can bring it inside. And it could also combine to have like, oh, I want a longer table, and they can make a longer table. Or I need something for my kid to play, they could play. Or to have the moms gossip, they could do it over there. So we were hoping that it could reflect the way that the kampung feels with the space, and the way that we wanted to show their connection with the space was also with rujak, which is a fruit salad dish in Indonesia that shows the way that the kampung has developed. Because whenever we asked them what they missed about their old kampung before the eviction, they always answered, I miss rujak. Because back then they could just open the doors to their home, pick whatever fruit is outside, gather in a neighbor's house and prepare it together and eat it together, which makes the dish not only just food, it makes it a communal experience. It makes it a connection with the space. And the trees that grew in Kunir still has a connection with them, because whenever one mom remembers a different aspect, or where a tree was planted and another mom remembers it differently, they could fight over it, which shows the connection they had. So we also designed different seating elements, which maybe in the Netherlands, they don't have this more such often. It's called a dinklik, so it's a way that they normally sit. And we also designed different levers and different connecting boards, so they could connect or disconnect it whenever they want to create more space. Or they could also, do I have to climb it? Kids could also climb it, or adults could climb it, and different plants could hopefully come back to the space. We also have this one, which is a bookshelf that we made, and this could also save the wooden planks that we have for the connecting board. We also have this one, which is a water filtration system, because when we decided to create this space, we were thinking of the connection that Kunir has with the river, and how right now it's not too much of a positive connection, because with rivers in Jakarta, you'd see it being so polluted, and most people would think like, oh, it's just something that makes our neighborhood unclean, but then they forget the connection to water. So we wanted to bring it here with this, and hopefully with more projects we can tackle the water even more. Maybe at the end I can show you a little interactive project that we did as a display in the exhibition room. So this space is like a food water where you normally order instant noodles or coffee. And in our exhibition, you order public space. So you can play a game, or you can just create whatever public space you want within a limited space, which is a bowl. And Mas Gosha, who can't come today, he's one of the designers who printed these. And you can build your own public space. So I think that's it. If we have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. And Mas Iqra, maybe show yourself a bit.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening and seeing our exhibition. And I think this is gonna be our last week
No,
in
it's
the
one
right.
day left.
One day left, yes. One day left. And then we're gonna close it down and then move on. Maybe we could find another place to exhibit our projects and
Oh,
continue.
We will in Dutch Design Week.
Yeah, of course. That's right. Yeah, so thank you.